Hello, Evesham and Broadway. This is Hugh Brewster speaking to you from Toronto, Canada, and I'm just delighted to be with you on this historic weekend of the centennial of the sinking of the Titanic to see this remarkable film, A Night to Remember. And I must tell you that probably all the hoopla and commemoration that's going on surrounding the Titanic would probably not be happening had it not been for this film and the book it was based on, written by Walter Lord in 1955, called, like the movie, A Night to Remember. Because between 1914 and 1953, there were no major books or films made about the Titanic. Then Walter Lord wrote A Night to Remember in 1955, and it caused an absolute sensation. It was a worldwide bestseller, and the film on which it was based, starring Kenneth More, became hugely popular everywhere and spawned the Titanic organizations, and really everything that has followed comes from A Night to Remember. So I think it's a very significant film for you to be seeing. But there's also a very significant Broadway and Evesham connection to this film, in that one of the Titanic's most famous passengers was a man who lived in Broadway for much of his life, named Frank Millet, an American expatriate artist and writer. And Frank Millet actually wrote his last letter from the Titanic to his longtime friend who also lived in Broadway, a garden designer and artist named Alfred Parsons, and his work is being celebrated in the Broadway Arts Festival this June. And in that letter, very revealingly, which I discovered in the Worcester archives when I was over in Broadway doing research. In that letter, Frank Millet talks about the ship. He says it's an amazing ship. It's got everything on it but taxi cabs and theaters. He describes the lavish rooms. And then he says to Parsons, of course, there's a lot of obnoxious Americans on board, particularly the ostentatious women, who lead their husbands around like pet lambs, and many of them carry little tiny dogs. So even though Millet was an American himself, he clearly didn't have much use for his less sophisticated countrymen. So Millet was on the Titanic, of course, for the next 4 days, having a very nice time, doing some paperwork, dining with his friends. On the last night, he and two of his friends were in the smoking room until quite late, until long after they'd started loading the lifeboats. And people who saw them said it was as if they showed a wish to show that they were oblivious to any kind of danger. And it wasn't until they left the smoking room about 12:30, a good 50 minutes after the Titanic hit the iceberg, that they saw people in life jackets and saw the sloping deck and realized they were in trouble. And Frank was seen helping women and children into lifeboats. And his last words apparently were to an American passenger, a female whom he knew, who said, "Have you any words for us, Frank?" And he said, "Well, give my best to Lily and all my friends." Lily was his wife, living at Russell House back in Broadway. And she knew, she later said, that from the moment she heard about the sinking of the Titanic, she knew that Frank was lost. She held out no hope for him. And of course, his good friend Alfred Parsons had by then likely received the letter that would become Millet's last. So it's no wonder that he treasured it to this day. And of course, in Broadway, in the entrance to the Broadway Cemetery, is a beautiful lich gate dedicated with a Latin inscription to the memory of Frank Millet. So I hope you'll enjoy this film, given its strong local connections. I'll be coming over in June for the second Broadway Arts Festival, and a lot of people from over here are coming over as well, which is terrific. And on June 11th in the Lifford Hall, I'll be giving a talk all about Millet's last voyage and about some of the other people on the Titanic. So I do hope you enjoy this very special film, and I look forward to seeing some of you at the Broadway Arts Festival, the second Broadway Arts Festival, in June of this year. Thanks very much, and have a great evening.